Welcome to the She Said Privacy, He Said Security podcast. Like any good marriage, we will debate, evaluate, and sometimes quarrel about how privacy and security impact business in the 21st century.
Hi, Jody Daniels here. I'm the founder and CEO of Red Clover Advisors, a certified women's privacy consultancy. I'm a privacy consultant and certified informational privacy professional, providing practical privacy advice to overwhelmed companies.
Hi, Justin Daniels here. I am passionate about helping companies solve complex cyber and privacy challenges during the life cycle of their business. I am the cyber quarterback, helping clients design and implement cyber plans, as well as help them manage and recover from data breaches.
This episode is brought to you by Red Clover Advisors. We help companies to comply with data privacy laws and establish customer trust so that they can grow and nurture integrity. We work with companies in a variety of fields, including technology, SaaS, e-commerce, media, and professional and financial services. In short, we use data privacy to transform the way companies do business. Together, we're creating a future where there's greater trust between companies and consumers. To learn more, visit redcloveradvisors.com.
Are you feeling
Am I feeling transformed today? Why am I feeling transformed?
seems like the word of the day to use?
Oh, the word of the day is transform. I thought it might be chatty.
Well, you're that.
We appear to be very chatty
every day.
And we haven't had any. Well, you don't ever drink coffee. I haven't had any coffee.
Indeed.
But we're excited today because we're going to dive into a fun topic. Today, we have Brandon Laur, who possesses a master's degree in professional communication and is multi-certified in OSINT. For over 13 years, he has been working with the White Hatter, providing cybersecurity training. In 2018, he was awarded the Medal of Good Citizenship for efforts in schools addressing disturbing content, cyberbullying, and critical incidents. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're really excited to get started. This is such an important topic. We always like to cover protecting children and really everybody who can, be victims of disturbing content, cyberbullying, and all these types of issues in our digital world. And why are you looking at me strangely?
Because I was thinking fondly about what you showed me yesterday that you got a text about. I think you should share that with the audience.
What did I get yesterday as a text?
Well, an organization with which you're not familiar sent you a text to update settings for an account for which you don't have.
Oh, well then, see, you shared it.
Our friends from MetaMask. And Jody has no MetaMask account. Jody, what's MetaMask?
Well, I think we're going to dive into today's topic for discussion. My guess is it wasn't actually from them. It was someone trying to pretend that it was them.
Indeed.
All right. So pulling it back. Brandon, tell us a little bit about your career arc and how you got to what you're doing today with White Hatter.
Oh, that takes a lot of twists and turns, and it's developed quite a lot over, I would say, the past 14-ish years when I really started doing security information training and teaching and practicing. So I would say our organization's actually a family company. My family started the business probably 29-ish years ago. And back then, it was not so much cybersecurity. It was more physical personal protection, how to avoid dangerous physical situations. And then as a teen, I began delving into the area of information security and privacy and understanding what the issues are and problems that exist in computers today. And with that knowledge, I was learning myself, my family, who were running a information organization, providing workshops and training to people of all ages, began incorporating this cybersecurity information into programs. And now, as the company stands today, it's now pretty much exclusively cybersecurity, privacy, and digital literacy. And kind of cool, all from a teen's perspective, how it all started and messing around with technology, coding, programming, and hacking.
Well, thank you for sharing. I think it's always really interesting to see how you took, a family business that started in one era and continued to evolve as the digital age evolved. Who knows what we're going to be training about in 10 years?
Quantum computing.
Quantum computing.
Yes.
Metaverse, how to be a different avatar? I don't know.
Yes. I could use the Jody avatar.
Jody doesn't have an avatar.
Indeed. So I guess an interesting place to start would be, how has privacy and security education evolved? Because Jody and I are both in these fields, and yet when we went to school, there weren't any courses. And now, of course, there are a lot of courses.
It's evolved a lot. Over the past 10 years or so, definitely I've seen it being less so avoiding viruses per se, and it's more around phishing and scams, which always has been, but now with modern cybersecurity, quantum computing, and all these AI systems that kind of do a lot of security work for us, although there still is a need for professionals to go in and manually fix problems. That's why we're all still employed. AI has not taken it all away from us, but we've seen a lot of, when you buy a computer off the shelf, nowadays it is more, I use air quotes here, it is more secure today than, say, 15 years ago. But what still is persistent are the scams and phishing, and that's what I did my master's degree on, and that was very interesting. And when I have a whole cohort of these marketers, and I'm the one going, I want to study hackers. Weird dynamic, but really cool. And I think that's our main focus in our organization, and working with parents and caregivers and youth today to kind of get them up to speed on, when they get into a professional role, they have some of the fundamental basic understandings of how to deal with scams, phishing, and potential viruses and hacks.
So I'd love to learn a little bit more about, where do you find people are coming in? So my assumption is they're coming in and don't know a whole lot about this. And can you walk us through how you go about educating and training so that they are aware and prepared?
We do a lot of work with youth. We broadcast, we present to students all over North America, and students can come in with a very degrees of experience when dealing with phishing and hacking. And there are some students who are quite literate in that area, and there are some who are not. The challenge that I find is, when you're looking at grade school, for example, you know what kind of math level a student at grade 7 should have, and what kind of math level a grade 10 student should have. But you're talking about cybersecurity, it's open. Like, there is no fundamental basis that at this age a person should know these strategies and these tips and these tools. So it is very wide, and in audiences I try to work with, which is a challenge as an educator, because I don't want to talk about redundant stuff that most of my audience might know about, but then where's that balance? And it is an incredibly difficult job, and it's a balancing act.
Can you share a little bit more about, what is some of the training tactics? How do you go about training? Let's pick a 7th grader, as you had mentioned, like someone in grade 7. What does that type of training look like?
It's generally examples. I like to kind of run through kind of how websites are made. Most scams and phishing links are usually the primary method of infiltrating and succeeding the hack is through a malicious web link. So showing the students what, and even adults as well, what is a top level domain? What's a second level domain? What's a subdomain? And it's those subdomains that are always very tricky, because I show students examples on, here's what a link looks like on a mobile phone, which generally a mobile phone is only a few inches or so in length. So a lot of scammers and hackers will hide long, scammy links in super long web links. And as a user, you actually have to go click on the URL to see the full link. So I walk students through some of the fundamentals of how websites work, so that they can better be able to detect if there is a potential problem. And actually, some of that same training I do with business professionals. So again, people can come with various degrees of experience in handling this stuff.
One of the questions that I had was the privacy and security industry both have such fast-paced evolution. Do you have any thoughts around what are keys to keeping your knowledge up? Or are you seeing that there's some real basic concepts that everybody needs to know that kind of stay the same? And then we can get into different fields like a blockchain, autonomous vehicle, and a drone, and then apply these ideas more specifically to training in those areas.
Principles stay the same. Diverse in application. And that was a phrase my father used for and still does today, in that a lot of the common hacks and scams that exist today mirror similar examples of what we saw 20, 15, 10 years ago. And in regards to the general population, there's a lot of missing fundamentals that a lot of business professionals, workers don't have at their disposal or haven't had the opportunity to experience, that makes them more susceptible. Everyone's going to receive a scam message, a phishing message at some point, if not multiple times in their career. But some people might not, maybe more than others. But, a lot of people don't have those fundamentals. So we, in our organization, we address the fundamentals, because if you have those basic understandings, you can apply that to blockchain, drones, and those technologies are made by people, and unfortunately sometimes people can make mistakes. We see Facebook back in years and years ago when it was first being developed and upgraded, and all the mistakes in its infrastructure that existed, and today it's generally pretty secure against external hackers. Facebook is a whole other topic point, but I think today fundamentals are the same as they were 10, 15 years ago.
I have to imagine there's probably a bit of a divide between, let's talk about parents and kids. What might you say are the common misconceptions that parents have of what their kids might know? And is there anything that you're teaching the kids that the adults listening need to know?
The biggest misconception I think today is a lot of older adults might have the perception that youth today know all the tech answers or have the fundamental knowledge of how to fix every tech problem. And maybe in the millennial age, when millennials were kind of developing with technology and they were still at times needing to use, say, Windows command prompt. But today, we're not really seeing that with all youth. It depends. There's a variety of degrees of skill levels. But there are some youth today who have a tech problem and they can't figure it out. They may not have the digital literacy or critical thinking ability with technology to solve problems. And I think that's a big misconception that we're seeing today. And on the other side, it's sometimes parents think that they don't know anything and that they are kind of absent from parenting and engaging with the internet. And it's not that hard. There's a lot of abdication of responsibilities at times, and there's a lot of challenges that exist in parenting on the internet that we also try to address, because parents come, again, with a wide variety of experiences. Some parents who are looking at today's parents, who are generally millennials, who grew up with technology in its development, and then you're looking at maybe older parents who may be more in the boomer age. Maybe from there, you're looking at less experience. So it's a balancing act again.
Where do we fit? We're like the medium between.
We're homeless.
We're homeless. We're the homeless Gen Xers.
We're the homeless Gen Xers, so we're always excluded from everything. All those memes are completely accurate.
You notice we went right from boomers to millennials and their technology skills.
Yeah, because the Xers are always left out.
Fair enough.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, that was the whole argument even on the Super Bowl halftime show. It was like, this one was for the Xers and everyone else was upset.
Do you have training specific for X's?
I think we're just so flexible. We can go in either direction. I was going to ask about tools. Are there any particular apps or tools that you might recommend to help either the parents or the kiddos?
For tools for kids, we like to address, I think, password management at an early age now, because you're looking at young people today, and everything you do on the internet somehow requires an account. Everything needs an account. And account management is one of the biggest mistakes we see from youth today. We get messages on Instagram and Twitter, well, not so much Twitter, but other social networks where youth will message us going, "Hey, White Hatter team, someone logged into my account and somehow I forgot the password," or they have a bunch of throwaway emails and they have forgotten the login for those emails, and their accounts are attached to those emails, and now they can't recover their password for their accounts. It can get pretty messy. So we like to address password management. So using password managers, all the major ones, Google Password Manager, iCloud, LastPass, Dashlane, all the major ones that exist. And we work at that at a young age because we want to make sure that young people today have a good starting point. So later in life, when they realize there is a mistake or they have to go back and enter all their accounts and find all these accounts, it's less of a hassle.
Good advice.
For older adults? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say good advice. I think the older adults also need password managers.
Yep. When we work with parents as well and working professionals, password managers, I think account mismanagement, biggest mistake I see today. Or, classic, using the same password for all your accounts. That classic. So password managers, wonderful, wonderful tool for really all ages.
There you go. You're included. Password managers.
Feel better now. Just from your perspective, when you're going to learn about new ideas, or more importantly, maybe about thought leaders in the space about how things are evolving, where do you go to find that?
I have an extensive RSS feed that I get way too many notifications on every single day. But I like to try and stay up to speed on recent challenges and problems that exist. Obviously, my Google Alerts feed as well. So I don't necessarily look for individual people per se. I'm more so looking for certain topics. And then there's probably going to be someone in that area that has experience and knowledge in that area I can draw upon. And that's how I kind of expand my knowledge base.
Anyone in that RSS feed that you want to call out?
Anyone on that RSS feed.
Or a topic or something? Like,
yeah, I can definitely, phishing topics are top of my list there. We do a lot of work in regards to sextortion, where it comes to cybercrime. So those are some of my top feed lists. I think, right top of my head. Who's top of my head? Honestly, I'm completely drawing a blank on that one.
Well, that's okay. If you remember it, just chime on in. We talked about password management as a really important tip. And we always ask everyone, what is your best privacy and security tip? So what might you offer that is not a password manager? Because we covered that one. You have to pick a second one.
Fair enough. Best password, privacy, not password tip. Ooh, I would say best tip. I think that everything you do online is public and searchable, even though you might have a private account. And obviously, if you're running a end-to-end encrypted network or something, I'm talking about the average users. Mostly everything can be searched, can be copied if you send something to someone else. Even though if you are using an end-to-end encrypted network, nothing's stopping that person from screenshotting it and posting it publicly. Dealing with high schoolers, that happens a lot. But it's a private account, or people think that people are not allowed to screenshot the message they send. I guess that would depend on the state that you're living in. But most places have one-party consent laws. So yeah, you said something privately, person can copy it and save it for later and repost it. And that is one of the biggest misconceptions that we see among people of really all ages, is that everything online, think of it as public and searchable. If you do that, far less chances that problems might pop up for you.
Yep, that's a great way to look at it. I know in educating our daughters, we talk a lot about everything you put out there. It can be shared, it can be copied, it can and be comfortable with every single thing that you put out there.
Well, when you're not helping educate the millennials and the boomers and that to be determined people in between, what do you like to do for fun?
For fun? Honestly, I love relaxing, sitting back, playing some games. Civilization 5, one of my favorites. Just play around in a sandbox and just relax and think the world outside my computer doesn't really exist for a little bit.
Well, now, if people would like to learn more about you and the White Hatter, where should we send them?
Our website is probably the good starting point. So thewhitehatter.ca, as we are a Canadian company and we're proud of that. So thewhitehatter.ca, and then we're also on YouTube and almost every social network you could possibly think of, Twitter, Instagram, all those ones. So and our handle's typically White Hatter Team, and you can find us on all the major platforms.
Well, we're so grateful that you came here today to share about typical tips, have a little fun and generational conversation, and overall to really help emphasize that everything, I love what you said, that everything that you put out there is public and searchable, even if people think it's in a private account. So thank you so much for the great work that you're doing out there, trying to help educate and protect people of all ages.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to the She Said Privacy, He Said Security podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes and check us out on LinkedIn. See you next time.